Okay, this next video is an overview that describes the ItsMySchool and the solution and how it was developed. Excuse me. I was very careful when writing this not to bite off more than I could chew at a time. I was a full-time instructor at a local college, and so I didn't have a lot of time. When I did have the time was in the evenings when my children were asleep, weekends when I didn't have something else planned, and then later at night when I should have been asleep. So the bottom line is that it was when I could fit it in. And so I broke this thing out. I completed, if you look at the tabs, you can kind of see how I went through. The only tab that is a little bit out of sequence is the find it. I put the find it in after the content, but I'm not going to change that. So at any rate, so the solution itself, it was something that I was very fortunate in that because I used it every day in my courses, I got instant feedback, and I got a lot of very good feedback from my students that would say, well, Mr. Hobbins, we like this. That's not or they would look at something, they'd say, well, that's kind of what we wanted, but that's not quite what we wanted, and could you do this? And I'd turn around and say, well, sure, yeah, I'll fit that in. So essentially that's the process. One of the first elements that I designed was the assignment section, and when coming, I'm just going to kind of step through these here. When students would first arrive, they weren't sure, when the assignment was due, when it would be covered in class, and so on. And so that was one of the first things that was resolved. I built a calendar based system for the assignments that allowed complete navigation of all assignments based on the calendar. It was all color coded. You can kind of just read through these things. They had a lot of grading questions, and so what I did is I built a very solid tools-based component that allowed them not only to review the grading criteria for any assignment, any notes attached to their final grade on an assignment. The notes would then give them instant feedback from me to them, so that they would know why points were taken off, or I could say, hey, great job, whatever I wanted to do on that. The other thing is they could compare their assignment grade to others in the class. They could compare their test grades to others in the class. They could see how they're doing as a whole, and those are all things that they asked for, and they loved it. And the other thing is that with the assignment component, something that you always have kids that like to shoot ahead, and I had that happen fairly often. You get the ones that for whatever reason they didn't want to stick with the plan and schedule for the class, and so I built in an assignment piece the ability to lock down assignments so that they were only viewable when they were intended to be viewed. And then when students said, hey, well, what's the next assignment, it wasn't available to them, I'd just say, well, take a look at the calendar, and then I'd say, well, here, let's see, and then I would go in and I'd look at the calendar and say, well, that's not coming up till then, let's worry about that then. Do you think that's a good idea? Or whatever, something along that line. So it was a very low stress way to handle that. The student then would just have to twiddle their thumbs and scratch their head and wait with the rest of the class when it was assigned. But as an instructor, it reduced my stress because I didn't have to appear to be the bad guy. I could point that, well, geez, that's when everybody's waiting for, and and the other aspect of that was even more important was that you would have students that would they'd jump ahead, and then in class they would ask questions that were related to something you were going to cover for 2 or 3 days or even a week ahead, and that's not good for the other students, obviously. The number 4 was a very significant time saver for me. The kids loved to email me their assignments, and I was totally for that, but they would there'd be spam filters, multiple submissions, using aliases that didn't match up with their actual names, and it was kind of nightmarish. But so that was a really big thing that this system provided, was that it had an upload capability with locking down some and upload folders and things based on when due dates and things like that, and full file management system that only permitted one copy, and full error recovery and deletion and all sorts of stuff. So it was very powerful for the students, but it also meant that they handled all that busy work. I didn't have to deal with it as an instructor, and they liked it because then they could look at any time and see what they had and download it and make sure it was the right one and do that as many times as they wanted to, but at least I was out of that loop, and that was a good thing for me, and it was for them. Okay, now the other thing on the assignment piece is that I wrote a pretty nice little application that would intelligently pull all the documents and things related to assignment for every student, correlate that into a directory structure, zip the entire thing up and download it. So you can imagine the time saving for me was just amazing after completing that. The grading module was incredibly fast too. Just a matter of some clicks and in your of the mouse and things. It was fully automated. You also, let's see, what else did I have in there? The other thing on grading that for me that I really disliked is I would go in and I would be late at night. Instructors, you have a lot to do, and you'd be grading at night or on the weekends, and sometimes you'd be tired, and you assign your grades, and a week later when the student brought up, well, why'd you take out punch, you'd forget, well, I built this automated note thing into it, so any points taken off, you could click on a little note field. It would automatically pop up a little editor. You'd enter your note, and then there'd be a highlighted note symbol next to any element of a grading sheet that had points taken off, so they could read right away what your thoughts were, and then you didn't have to remember it. And if they were wondering why you took points off even after, then you could pull up the note with them and read it over and be instantly updated. And then you had excuse me, full assignment archival. Okay, I'm going to try to go a little quicker because you can pause these videos and read them on your own. On the grading side, taking in attendance was very important. Extra credit I had automated extra credit in a number of different areas on the site, and normally giving extra credits an extra task that because you aren't normally set up to be able to do that easily, I set it up so it's automated and easy. Full featured course grade book. I was able to handle all my test scores. The students, on the grading side, I think I already discussed that part. Just go ahead and look through on this. I think I've already covered some of them, but it's a very, very good system. Something else that I did pretty early on was the ability to eliminate the emails from students. What I did is I built a course-based email system, which is actually not that hard to write, but it was very beneficial in that I told my students that I would no longer be answering email to my instructor-based global email account. It would only be through the course, and the nice thing about that was then I could go in on a course-by-course basis, and there'd be no doubt which student was sending me what email and a full track, and I built a full email management piece into it, so it was very handy. Discussion forums is also very powerful. I built in extra credit points into that, and gave students full capability to help each other as well as myself. I could go on and online at any time and help them as well. Then I built a nice announcement feature so that any announcement students could go on and add their own, and I could add my own, and that way students knew that if there was something coming up, let's say that there was some really inclement weather, and the question is, well, whether class was going to be held or whatever the case may be, I could go on the announcement online from home. After being told that no, it's going to get canceled, I could put that up. They could look at it and say, oh, well, there's no class today. So that was quite handy. They could go to the course, not depending upon some email that got kicked to a spam filter. The search component, you know, you always have students that are wondering, you know, where's this, where's that? So I built a unique and very powerful search component, and you can take a look at what's there. But it made searching for any material on the site very intuitive and very easy, and it not Google-like, because it actually broke things out to categories and actually pulled pieces of documents, not just web-based, but any type of document pretty much. And then the content, I had course information, learning activities, and assignments were the three key ones that were provided, and they were very powerful. For the management side, full document management system to set it up. I had a bunch of wizards that were basically template based, so you could go through as an instructor and create your assignments and schedules and things, and then import them into the next semester and so on, and make your life way easier. And because you were using wizards, it took care of the formatting, just a number of really nice things, and they were always the same, so your students would always know what to look for, and the assignments would reduce confusion for them. And then finally, on the maintenance side, you had the ability to modify course settings, hide a course, choosing the number and type of assignments, and so on. You can read what's there. The course options, you had import, export, course creation, editing of courses that were there, and so on. Because this system was outside of the campus enrollment system, I had to build a very powerful automated enrollment system for this application, and it had to be foolproof, or obviously I couldn't use this application at all. And so that was one of the key parts that I wrote, and this had full online authentication and automated password recovery and reset and everything, which is very important to me to have that in right away too. And so anyway, hopefully you get a feel for what's there, and that will complete this video. I have one more video, and I should be able to get in the students and the faculty in that video. But thank you for listening to this one, and hopefully you'll enjoy the next one as well.